Did you know the people of ancient India had a knack for numbers? The Harappans, from one of the world's earliest civilizations, the Indus Valley, understood the decimal system. Archaeologists discovered weights in multiples of 10, much like the ones you see in your maths class. It's fascinating to think that so long ago, people were already counting in tens, like us. You might have heard the word caste in your history lessons, but did you know there's no ancient Indian word for it? The term caste actually comes from the Portuguese word casta. In Indian history, they had different names like Varna and Jati, which had their own unique meanings, quite different from what we understand by caste today. Meet Ashoka, one of India's greatest emperors. He was known for spreading messages of peace and kindness via his rock edicts. But here's the twist. These messages weren't in Sanskrit, the fancy language of the elites, but in Prakrit, the language of the common folks, allowing everyone to understand his kind words. Rudramadevi was a trendsetter. Centuries before women in Europe sat on thrones, this remarkable woman ruled the Kakatiya dynasty in the 13th century India. She was a queen in every way, with power and authority in a world mostly ruled by kings. In 1857, during the big revolt against the British, something heartwarming happened. Hindus and Muslims worked together under a common leader, Bahadur Shah Zafar. Even temples and mosques stood united as centers of resistance. It was a time when people put aside differences for a greater cause. The date January 26th is special for Indians. On this day in 1950, India's constitution came into effect. But why this date? It all goes back to 1930, when Congress declared India's complete independence. Talk about keeping promises. The Salt March, led by Mahatma Gandhi, was more than about the white crystals we sprinkle on food. It represented self-reliance and protest against unfair laws. By choosing salt, Gandhi picked something essential to everyone, rich or poor. Did you know that around the time of India's independence, the country wasn't just one big piece? It was like a puzzle made up of over 562 little pieces, princely states. Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, a master diplomat, worked magic to unite them into one India, with no large fights. Surprisingly, the Indian National Congress, a big part in India's freedom fight, was started by a Britisher, A.O. Hume, in 1885. At first, it was meant to be a safety valve for Indian frustrations. And speaking of Congress, Annie Besant, a remarkable lady from Britain, was its first woman president in 1917 before Sarojini Naidu, India's own Nightingale, took the lead in 1925. India's history is full of amazing stories and surprises, and each fact brings a piece of the past alive, waiting to be explored.